Requesting all those walking in to please settle down and start taking your seats. We will be beginning in a short while from now. We're all set, good to go. Just a few more minutes before the rest of the guests arrive, and we will be beginning very, very soon. So please, requesting you to stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, requesting all of you to please quickly walk in and start taking your seats. We are all set to begin. We have a very packed evening lined up, so requesting all at the entrance at the back to please start walking in and start taking your seats. Our chief guest is also set to join us very soon. We don't want to keep him waiting.
A resurgent India is racing towards the Viksit Bharat goal, braving global economic headwinds. Bulletproofing our economy from these uncertainties are Bharat's homegrown businesses. Powered by tech-led innovation, Indian entrepreneurs are truly scaling up, riding the next wave of disruption with AI and cloud to break into the big global league. TV9 Network in association with SAP presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, a series celebrating inspirational business leaders shaping tomorrow. Watch them take an iconic leap at Visionaries of Viksit Bharat conclaves.
Check, hey, hey, hello, check 1, 2, hey.
Exclusively
Check,
on
hello,
News9.
hello.
A resurgent India is racing towards the Viksit Bharat goal, braving global economic headwinds. Bulletproofing our economy from these uncertainties are Bharat's homegrown businesses. Powered by tech-led innovation, Indian entrepreneurs are truly scaling up, riding the next wave of disruption with AI and cloud to break into the big global league. TV9 Network in association with SAP presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, a series celebrating inspirational business leaders shaping tomorrow.
Huh?
Watch them take an iconic leap at Visionaries of Viksit Bharat conclaves. Exclusively on News9. A resurgent India is racing towards the Viksit Bharat goal, braving global economic headwinds. Bulletproofing our economy from these uncertainties are Bharat's homegrown businesses. Powered by tech-led innovation, Indian entrepreneurs are truly scaling up, riding the next wave of disruption with AI and cloud to break into the big global league. TV9 Network in association with SAP presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, a series celebrating inspirational business leaders shaping tomorrow. Watch them take an iconic leap at Visionaries of Viksit Bharat conclaves. Exclusively on News9. A resurgent India is racing towards the Viksit Bharat goal, braving global economic headwinds.
Check, hello.
Bulletproofing our economy from these uncertainties are Bharat's homegrown businesses. Powered by tech-led innovation, Indian entrepreneurs are truly scaling up, riding the next wave of disruption.
संदीप लेवल लगा है लाउड बोलने बोला
All right. Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to all those of you who have gathered here for TV9 Visionaries of Viksit Bharat in association with SAP Transformation Partner Deloitte. Thank you so much for taking time out to come. It's a very momentous occasion. It's the grand finale of the Visionaries of Viksit Bharat campaign. This campaign has run the length and the breadth of the country, all the way from Delhi to Hyderabad to Bengaluru to Chennai to Mumbai. We've been going across all over the country, meeting India's true visionaries who will be building Viksit Bharat 2047. And tonight, that campaign has come to a grand culmination. That's where we're all here gathered at the Taj Land's End in Bandra in Mumbai. Great to have all of you with us, but it's important to tell you that for tonight, we have a very, very special chief guest set to join us. He's a very busy man, but he's chosen to take some time out to grace this occasion. I'm talking about the Industries Minister of the state of Maharashtra, Shri Uday Samantji, who's currently in Nagpur for the Adhiveshan. And he has chosen to take some time out to come and join us over here. Shri Uday Samantji, thank you for joining us virtually and delivering the keynote address.
Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. We will be coming to your keynote address in just a bit, but because we have a packed day lined up, we have to get to the right occasion at the right time, and that's the reason why we're going to be first telling you all about the Visionaries of Viksit Bharat campaign. We've been meeting the true middle of India, the middle of the economy of India, the homegrown businesses, the true visionaries who've been building India for so long, who will continue to build and play a very key role in everything from exports to employment, from technology to infrastructure in building a Viksit Bharat. And we began by meeting them. We had some meetups in different cities where we got together homegrown businesses for conversations to understand really what do they need. And then, of course, we kicked off our thought leadership conclaves. First one was in the national capital, Delhi, which was graced by a couple of very important ministers at that stage. And then we had the second round of the Thought Leadership Conclave in Bengaluru. And now we are here for the third and final round of the Thought Leadership Conclave here in Mumbai for TV9 Network Visionaries of Viksit Bharat in association with SAP Transformation Partner Deloitte. Before we go any further, let's first quickly take a look at what this campaign is all about. Take a look.
India is ready for the next big leap, driven by the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, a future that is prosperous, empowered, and prepared to lead the world with confidence. In a time shaped by rapid transformation, technology and artificial intelligence have emerged as catalysts of progress, powering industries, inspiring innovation, and opening new pathways for India's next chapter. As the nation advances towards this bold vision, visionary business leaders are stepping forward. Leaders who push boundaries, reimagine possibilities, and move forward with courage, clarity, and a deep commitment to building India's tomorrow. TV9 Network, in association with SAP, presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Today we gather among India's champions of homegrown enterprises, leaders whose journeys, insights and ideas continue to strengthen the foundation of a Viksit Bharat. At this conclave, India's brightest business minds will illuminate the forces shaping our shared future: SME growth, business continuity, compliance readiness, digital transformation and broader access to finance. This is India's moment, and with these visionaries leading the way, we step forward together towards the nation's next big leap.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is in a nutshell what the Visionaries of Viksit Bharat campaign is all about. We're putting the spotlight on the true Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, who we will be felicitating tonight here on the stage as well. Some of them, visionaries who have joined us. Huge round of applause for all the visionaries who have joined us here. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for building India. We are here, TV9, in association with SAP India. Our endeavor is to empower these homegrown businesses, these mid-sized businesses. How do we make the mid-sized businesses into large and big ones? How do we make the small enterprises into the middle-sized enterprises? That's what this campaign is all about. And without any further ado, let me first invite the man who's going to deliver the opening address of this Thought Leadership Conclave Grand Finale. Let me please invite on stage, ladies and gentlemen, with a big round of applause, Mr. Rajiv Singh, Vice President and Head, Corporate and Partner Driven, SAP Indian Subcontinent. Rajiv, all yours.
Namaste and good evening to all. It's my privilege to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Minister Mr. Uday Savantji, and it's my equal honor and privilege to welcome the entrepreneurs, the innovators, creators, and the real builders of this nation to our inaugural campaign of Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. A campaign where we are not only going to celebrate the enterprises, but we're going to celebrate the courage, the conviction, and the daily determination that Indian entrepreneurs go through. You keep moving forward despite and often without any support, without any spotlight, but always with a dream in your eyes. So tonight is celebration for all of you who have played an important part in making this nation, building this nation over a period of time. Because the story of Viksit Bharat, a developed nation, cannot be complete without story of all of you. So welcome once again to all of you. Well, India is at an inflection point, right? I think Prime Minister Modi has already set the direction goal for us to become a developed nation by 2047. And we are in the right direction. But if you look at it, can we become a developed nation just by being a consumption-led economy, which we have been for past 70 years? The research says that we have to become an innovation-led economy if we have to become Viksit Bharat by 2047 or earlier. What does it mean? Innovation-led growth economy means where ideas become products, products become industries, and industries become global champions, where we take on the world. But here's a truth that we often overlook. The growth, our journey to Viksit Bharat is not through large enterprises only. It has to be driven by small and medium enterprises. One of the recent studies by McKinsey says that India is a very unique economy where our economy is run by a handful of very large enterprises and hundreds and thousands of very small enterprises. We are an economy which has a missing middle. And if you compare it with some of the other growing economies like Vietnam, China, Thailand, the medium enterprises in those countries are double of what India should have. Right? So that's something which is extremely important. And the study also elaborates that medium enterprises in any growing economy is extremely important for two reasons. One, this is the layer which absorbs macroeconomic shock. This is the layer which absorbs, because they are resilient, they keep innovating. The smaller ones will slow down completely, but the medium enterprises, one, keeps the economy resilient. Second, it keeps challenging the top enterprises to be innovative. So for any economy to become global, big economy, and for us to become Viksit Bharat, small enterprises will have to develop into medium enterprises, and medium enterprises will have to become large enterprises. And we've been doing as country, as entrepreneurs, we've been doing it. Our entrepreneurs have courage, we all have for ages. Our enterprises have grit. But today is the time when country is standing with us. Right? The moment is ours as country. If you look at what's happening in country, we are the fastest growing large economy in the world. We have, our per capita GDP is going to double by 2030. What does it mean? It means that it unlocks possibly the largest middle class consumption across the world. Add to it, 65% of our population is below age of 35. Now this itself, this demographic dividend itself can give us decades of growth. And then add to it the new industries that are coming fast, defense manufacturing, green technologies, data center, renewable energy sector. These are not sectors, these are factories of future. And India is positioning itself at the center of these. It is extremely important that we lead some of these sectors as a country and show the world that we can innovate in some of these sectors. But of course we know the global situation always gives us a shock, and past 5-6 years have not been very easy. We have rising duties, we have tariff issues, we have geopolitical tensions which are reshaping the market. The supply chain disruptions, rising logistic cost, some of these challenges are real for today's entrepreneurs. But this is where India differentiates. What is happening in India? Driven by some of the policies. One, we are fastest growing, we have a consumption, we have a young population, we have huge consumption-led growth which is expected with per capita GDP, per capita income increasing, doubling by 2030. And add to it the policies from government which are coming, we are helping with PLI, we are getting possibly collateral-free loans. Add to it the physical infrastructure that India is adding. It is one of the fastest growing countries in terms of physical infrastructure, whether road construction, ports, airports. And add to it the digital infrastructure. India is taking a lead, whether it was UPI or it is ONDC now, where we are democratizing some of these platforms for our small and medium enterprises to really show their competency to the world. Now, if you look at this, right, so yes, the world is volatile, the markets are shifting, but India's time is now. And if you look at the time to innovate for India is now. If you look at any innovation for any organization can not happen without technology involvement. And that's where SAP steps in. We have been for past 30 years in India, have stood shoulder to shoulder with small, medium and large enterprises to make them not only grow, become better technologically, compete and take on global giants. Right? So it is something that we have done in this country because of our partnership with India. We are very proud to say that 60% of India's GDP touches an SAP system. And 80% of our customers are small and medium enterprise customers. What we are doing also is SAP for India for SAP is not only a market, it's also a mission. So God's been kind, and we've done tremendous work, business here in India, but over 30 years, what we want to really give back to this country is also in terms of how we can help country in Make in India. So we have set up the largest innovation lab of the world with 15,000 top talent will be developing software not only for India, but also working with startups in India to serve the world. So it is one of our direction in Make in India campaign, which is something that SAP is investing in. We want to make India as the talent funnel to the world. So we are working with Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. We are working with Code Unnati. Through Code Unnati, we are training millions of students today to become digitally literate. And that's something which we think as India, as SAP, that's our duty to the nation. Add to it, we are giving access to global markets with some of our innovations for small and medium enterprises. We are helping some of these organizations get on our business network, engage with global clients, global customers, to make these small and medium enterprises go global. So these are something that SAP has been investing in India. We think that SAP is not just enabling digital transformation, but we want to be called as a company which is helping build the economic architecture of Viksit Bharat. Well, our goal is singular. We want organizations, small and medium enterprises, to go from good, that you already are, to become great, and then become unstoppable. And for us, it is not about software, it's about democratizing access to software, access to technology in different parts of country, so that small and medium enterprises can leverage technology and become globally competitive. And it's just giving you a glimpse, what goes in a life of an entrepreneur who's still a small and medium enterprise promoter. Let's look at journey of Meera, who's a promoter running a small manufacturing setup. And she gets up in the morning, her first thing, she runs a manufacturing company, first thing she's possibly looking around, what is my production schedule today, when is my supply going to come, which customers I need to deliver to today, when am I going to get my working capital. Some of these very basic challenges for a small and medium enterprise promoter that she goes through. By midday, now with SAP, she's been able to navigate, see all the reports early in the morning for her to know which are my possible default suppliers today, which are the customers where delivery will not go, which are the top 5 customers who are not going to pay me in time. And also, what is going to be my cash position by 7th of next month when I have to pay salary. Now, she has all of that available to her in a dashboard early in the morning. By midday, she's already thinking about what strategic decisions she should take and not be stuck into operational matters of finding report, where is my supplier, etc. Add to it, she also knows that talent is extremely important for any organization. She needs to know how to get the right talent. First step is job description writing. She doesn't know how to get a right job description for a skill profile, right? She has access where the JD can be written, job description can be written for a profile. She can give a natural language description. Interview questions can be selected based on profile, not on bias. Promoter doesn't have to think of bias. I need to hire somebody like me. The AI gives you the set of questions based on profile and job description. She interviews, interview questions are projected, and then the talent comes in. The whole experience of employee after onboarding is extremely similar. Her employee engagement goes up. Now, her life, by end of day, she has happy employees. She has the reports that she wants to see. She can take proactive decisions during the day. So this is something that, some of these small and medium enterprises have been able to achieve. This is a small glimpse that I wanted to give to you all, but friends, as citizens and entrepreneurs in this room, the journey to Viksit Bharat, or a developed nation, starts with us. We will build, we will innovate, we will scale together. We have to make India not as the workshop capital of the world, but the innovation capital of the world. And this Visionaries of Viksit Bharat is one such initiative from our side. It's not a campaign. We believe it's a movement where we want to tell the next generation of entrepreneurs the stories of all of you entrepreneurs who've been successful, so that this grit and courage of entrepreneurship continues in this nation. With that, thank you for being here. Thank you for building India. Thank you for being the Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for that. And with that, it's time now to move on to the most exciting part of the inaugural session. Thank you for that opening address, Rajiv. That really set the context, set the tone for the evening, for the reason why we're all gathered over here for TV9 Network, Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, in association with SAP. And as I've been telling you, this is the grand finale of this campaign that's been running for a couple of months now, where we've gone all across the country and met and profiled some of the best homegrown businesses, mid-sized businesses, the true visionaries of Viksit Bharat. We will be getting our first set of felicitations for the evening underway as well. But before that, the most important part of the evening first, the conclave keynote address, for which a very special gentleman has been patiently standing by till we finish up and we reach his portion of the evening. I'm talking about Shri Uday Samantji, the Industry Minister of Maharashtra, who has chosen to join us virtually for this event, despite his extremely busy schedule, because as we all know, the winter session of Maharashtra Assembly is underway in Nagpur, and that's where Shri Uday Samantji is at. And despite that, he heeded our request and chose to join us virtually. Thank you, Uday Samantji, first of all, for accepting our invitation, for being with us, and also being patient for the evening. You've been with us for the last few minutes. I'm going to hand it over all across to you. Take it over, sir. All yours.
नमस्कार. सबसे पहले मैं उष्णा जी आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. साथ में आपके साथ जो मौजूद अतिथि है उनको भी सादर प्रणाम करता हूं. आशीष कुमार चौहान जी है, राजीव जी सिंह जी है, राहुल बहेटी, मनोज पुरोहित जी, खास करके इस प्रोग्राम का जिसने मुझको इनविटेशन दिया वो भूषण खोज जी है, प्रसन्ना राघव जी है, इनको भी मैं सादर प्रणाम करता हूं. आज विशेष रूप से TV9 न्यूज़ नेटवर्क का मैं धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं, जिन्होंने इतने सम्मानित अतिथियों और विचार दर्शकों के सामने मुझे मौजूद रहने का मौका दिया. सच तो महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट का सेशन नागपुर में शुरू है, इसलिए इस प्रोग्राम में मैं नहीं आ सका, इसलिए मैं क्षमा चाहता हूं. लेकिन जर्मनी में जो News9 ग्लोबल समिट था उसमें भी शामिल होने का मौका आपने मुझे दिया था, इसलिए भी मैं आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. महाराष्ट्र राज्य इंडस्ट्री का ग्रोथ इंजन है और आज आरबीआई का अगर सर्वे आप देखते हो तो महाराष्ट्र एफडीआई में नंबर 1 पे है. 3 साल पहले 4 साल पहले जब सर्वे हुआ था तब महाराष्ट्र 3 नंबर पे था, 2 नंबर पे था. लेकिन आज जो पॉलिसीज हमने महाराष्ट्र राज्य के इंडस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट में लाई है उसकी वजह से आज महाराष्ट्र एफडीआई में नंबर 1 पे है. इसका एक मैं उदाहरण देना चाहता हूं. जो हमारा डिस्ट्रिक्ट गढ़चिरौली है, जो आज तक नक्सलिस्ट डिस्ट्रिक्ट करके पहचाना जाता था, आज वो स्टील हब करके पहचाना जा रहा है, क्योंकि पूरे गढ़चिरौली डिस्ट्रिक्ट में मेरे ख्याल से 75,000 करोड़ की इन्वेस्टमेंट स्टील में आ रही है. अगर आप देखो तो चांदा से लेके बांदा तक यानी पूरे महाराष्ट्र में ये औद्योगिक विकास का समतोल रहना चाहिए. इसलिए छत्रपति संभाजीनगर हो, उत्तर महाराष्ट्र हो, पश्चिम महाराष्ट्र हो, कोकण हो, इस सब जगहों पे इंडस्ट्री का ग्रोथ हो रहा है. छत्रपति संभाजीनगर में आप तो जानते हो एक बजाज ऑटोमेटिव में एक कंपनी थी, लेकिन आज अगर आप देखना चाहते हो तो जिंदाल का ईवी व्हीकल वहां आ रहा है, किर्लोस्कर टोयोटा वहां आ रहा है, अथर का बहुत बड़ा कंपनी वहां आ रहा है. ये मराठवाड़ा से लेके कोकण तक जो जो इंडस्ट्री आ रही है उसमें से एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन भी बहुत है। इसलिए मैं आपको धन्यवाद देता हूं कि ये आपने जो प्रोग्राम रखा है उसमें से महाराष्ट्र इंडस्ट्री में कितना आगे गया है ये दिखाने का मौका भी महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट को मिला है। दूसरी बात ऐसी है कि हम सिर्फ अल्ट्रा मेगा प्रोजेक्ट के तरफ ही देखते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है। तो महाराष्ट्र में देश की सबसे ज़्यादा एमएसएमई महाराष्ट्र में है, तो एमएसएमई की भी ग्रोथ होनी चाहिए, एमएसएमई का भी बढ़ावा होना चाहिए। इसलिए नए नए पॉलिसी लाके हम जो यूथ जनरेशन है उसको भी स्वयं रोजगार देने का काम महाराष्ट्र में कर रहे हैं और उसमें भी हमको बहुत बड़ा सपोर्ट यंग जनरेशन से मिल रहा है। तीसरी बात है मुख्यमंत्री रोजगार निर्मित योजना, जिससे 50 लाख से 1 करोड़ तक हम कर्जा देते हैं और उसमें 17% से लेके 35% तक सब्सिडी हम देते हैं। उसमें भी आज हम 1 नंबर पे हैं। विश्वकर्मा योजना जो है, जो ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट है माननीय पंतप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी साहब का, उसमें भी महाराष्ट्र नंबर 1 पे है। तो ओवरऑल आप अगर देखोगे तो महाराष्ट्र ने इंडस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट में बहुत अच्छी तरह से काम किया है, बहुत अच्छी तरह से इंडस्ट्री महाराष्ट्र में आई है। हमारे यहाँ लैंड एक्विजिशन का बहुत बड़ा काम शुरू है। पुरंदर जैसा एक बहुत बड़ा एयरपोर्ट जिसका एक्विजिशन हम करने जा रहे हैं वो भी एमआईडीसी के द्वारा हम कर रहे हैं। इसलिए मेरे ख्याल से एमआईडीसी यानी उद्योग विभाग ये भारत देश का ऐसा एक महाराष्ट्र का विभाग है जो स्टेट को और देश को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए काम कर रहा है। $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी की अगर बात हम करें तो महाराष्ट्र माननीय मुख्यमंत्री देवेंद्र जी, हमारे नेता और उप मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी और अजीत दादा, इनके नेतृत्व में हम $1 ट्रिलियन के नज़दीक पहुंच रहे हैं और ये प्रयास भी हमारा जारी है। इसलिए आज इस कार्यक्रम को बधाई देते हुए मैं यही कहना चाहता हूं कि TV9 के द्वारा ऐसे जो विविध प्रोग्राम आप करते हो ये इंडस्ट्री के लिए और हमारे स्टेट डेवलपमेंट के लिए बहुत अच्छे हैं। इसलिए आपको मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं, आपके आभार व्यक्त करता हूं और आपको भी विनती करता हूं कि इंडस्ट्री का जो हमारा ग्रोथ चल रहा है उसमें आपका भी सपोर्ट हमारे गवर्नमेंट को रहना चाहिए, यही हमारी विनती है। वापिस एक बार मुझको आपने आपके प्रोग्राम में शामिल होने के लिए बुलाया, इसलिए आपको धन्यवाद देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र।
Shreya Samanji, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us despite that busy schedule of yours. It's been great listening to you. Very important to remember the role of Maharashtra and Maharashtra's industry when it comes to building a Viksit Bharat. And with that, we've been talking about the visionaries of Viksit Bharat. We're here in Maharashtra. We're here at the capital of Maharashtra, Mumbai, with some of the visionaries from here, from this part of the country. And that's the reason why first set of felicitations for visionaries of Viksit Bharat. And to do the honors, I have a couple of very special gentlemen joining us on stage. We have Mr. Rahul Baheti, Market Development and Advisory Leader, SAP Indian Subcontinent. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause for Rahul Baheti. And we also now invite on stage Mr. Bhushan V. Khote, President and Business Head of TV9 Network. Mr. Bhushan V. Khote. All right, so the first set of felicitations of visionaries of Viksit Bharat. He is somebody with over 25 years of experience across finance, operations, IT, and strategy, and has been instrumental in strengthening Gala Precision's leadership in high-performance technical springs and fastening solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Balkishan Jalan, Gala Precision Engineering Limited. He's somebody with over 15 years of experience, and he drives strategic growth and innovation for Empire Spices Foods Limited, the company behind household brands like Ram Bandhu and Temptin. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Anand Rathi, Director, Empire Spices and Foods Limited. We'll wait for him to come, but in the meanwhile, let's move on to the other one. The next visionary of Viksit Bharat, the seasoned technocrat, is driving the company's growth across polyurethane trading, diagnostics, and advanced material solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Supratik Chakraborty of Toso India Private Limited. We have Sanjeet Chakraborty, son, and Ashmit Singh, daughter-in-law of Toso India, with us, requesting both to please come to the stage. A leader in India's renewable energy landscape, he has built ECE into a fast-growing solar manufacturing and energy solutions company. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Amit Anantrao Arokar, ECE India Group of Companies. Right, thank you, Bhushanji, and thank you, Mr. Baheti, for doing the first set of honors. We have more. Huge round of applause for all the visionaries. We have more that we will be honoring through the course of the evening, so hold on. But meanwhile, we have some very interesting conversations lined up. The first panel discussion for the evening, requesting the chairs to be put on stage as we introduce the first panel. It's a very simple, straightforward one. Indian businesses ready for an iconic leap. And in this case, the iconic leap is an AI-iconic leap, because that's what the present is all about. Leave alone the future. AI is very much a part of our lives. And you have these mid-sized companies which are embracing technology at breakneck speed, and they are actually well positioned to take that leap into data and AI and machine learning, and to make sure that their businesses take that leap as they move towards building a Viksit Bharat. So this session is all about understanding where companies are when it comes to taking that AI iconic leap, where Indian companies are in the context of AI adoption globally by mid-sized companies across the board, and what is the role that they think AI will play in their own growth story going forward. That's what this next session is all about. And for this next session, let me first invite the moderator for this session. We have a very special gentleman from the TV9 network, Mr. R. Sridharan, who will be moderating the session. Editor, International TV9 network, Mr. R. Sridharan. Requesting you to take the middle seat. And requesting all the other mics to be put on stage as well, so that we can quickly get the panelists on stage. Let me first invite all the panelists one by one. Mr. Haresh Abhichandani, founder and MD, Millennium Semiconductors. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause for Mr. Haresh Abhichandani. Mr. Sandeep Welling, whole-time director, Aptech Limited. Huge round of applause for Mr. Sandeep Welling. Mr. Rishi Bal, CEO, Bharat Gen, Government of India body led by IIT Bombay. Huge round of applause for Mr. Rishi Bal. And finally, we have Mr. Manoj Purohit, Regional Head of Corporate, SAP Asia Pacific. And with that, the floor is all yours, Shri. Take it away. Shri, all yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Krishna, for that lovely introduction. And it's an amazing panel of experts that we have this evening, which actually covers the entire AI stack in some sense. So, like Krishna mentioned earlier in his introduction, this is the third leg of, and the final leg of the Visionaries of Viksit Bharat series that we're doing. We've done one in Delhi, started with Delhi, then we did it in Bangalore, and now The grand finale is happening in Bombay. And I think it's fair to say that even the medium-sized companies in India are not just ready for AI, but they're actively looking for ways in which they can start at least deploying AI in some parts of their businesses so that they're not left behind, because things are accelerating at literally lightning speed. So I'm going to start this evening's conversation with the man who's been tasked by the government to build the sovereign model for India, a multilingual, a multimodal, an AI model which is made in India, by Indians, for India. That's Rishi at Bharat Gen. Rishi, there are two parts to the question which I want to ask you first. One, give us a status of where are things from a progress point of view at Bharat Gen, because I think it's been a year roughly since you started off, and the government's given a very stiff target of 2 years to get something off the ground. So give us an update of what's happening. And the second part I would want you to address is, what are the areas where you're focusing for early wins from a deployment point of view? Which are the sectors? So let's start with an update.
Thank you so much for having me here, and super excited to share the updates. So at Bharat Gen, which is India's sovereign AI effort, we're a 100% government-backed entity backed by the Department of Science and Technology and the Ministry of Information Technology. It's an unusual startup in that we're government-backed, housed at an educational institute right here at IIT Bombay, and operating in a very much of a startup corporate manner in terms of how the company is set up. I have to say that I've been building product for the last 25 years and done this globally. At Bharat Gen, I think we've had the fastest 0 to 60. Mm-hmm. Because in just 9 months, we actually brought together a group of people to actually put together India's first foundational models from soup to nuts. And I mean by soup to nuts, this is, we literally start with the first byte of data and all the way through to the model. And that work actually happens even deeper in, because when we start to build the AI models, one of the first things we discover is that there isn't enough data, right? Especially in Indian languages, Indian culture. And we really start there by growing that whole ecosystem. So we start by saying, okay, who are the Indian data center providers and are they ready? So you just keep peeling this onion and figuring out, all the pieces that you need to go and build. But we're very happy that in June, earlier this year, we actually launched a set of models. Small models, 3 billion parameters, but we launched them in multiple domains. And then since then, we've been adding on capabilities to say, how do we now go meet India's needs, right? And so how do we build things that are domain specific? How do we build, and so, things that are for finance, for example. And how is Indian finance different? And how do we release models that are focused on Indian finance? Or how do we go build for the Indian legal system? And then we picked out a couple of hard areas where we said, look, nobody else is going to go there, so let's go there. Let's go build something for Ayurveda. And so we actually released Ayurparam, which is, I think, the first model that was released that was focused on Ayurveda. And when I say first, I mean that we really didn't have any benchmarks. So we had to actually start with, it's not even just the data. You actually have to go deeper into the system and say, let me go build the metrics to even know how we're doing, and then actually start building up AI and models from there.
So do you have anything that's like usable, let's say, by the SME sector in any specific industry at all right now?
Absolutely. So you can go to Hugging Face, which is where most of the AI companies tend to deploy their models. That's sort of the popular place to be. Or AI Kosh, which is run by the government of India. And you can actually download any of the models that I've just talked about: Agri-Param, Ayur-Param, Finance-Param, Legal-Param, as well as a number of speech-to-text and text-to-speech models. They're ready to go today. And then we'll continue to drop updates for those.
Okay, great. That's really heartening. Congratulations to you and your team for having gone from 0 to 60, like you said, in like record speed. Sandeep, I'm going to come to you because at the heart of building these models is basically human talent, right? Human ingenuity, I would say, like what China has demonstrated Just yesterday, I wrote a piece on MoveThreads IPO and what it says about China's own belief in homegrown NVIDIA, so to say. India is probably the third largest market in terms of engineering skill sets for AI, ML, machine learning, and data sciences, everything. I'm not going to talk about what will be the impact of AI on jobs. I think that's a big scare that everyone has. So we'll talk about it a little later. But tell us, what sort of skill set are we going to need for us to become, let's say, a full stack AI nation? From your perspective, how do we train people who are ready for this AI challenge, so to say?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me here this evening. It's a pleasure interacting with a large audience. So just to give you a background, I take care of AppTech. So we are into vocational training or skilling. And that has a great synergy with the Viksit Bharat scheme that is being currently rolled out. So answering your question, see, AI, and let me first address the issue that you raised, where you mentioned that is AI going to take jobs? I don't think AI is going to take jobs. If at all it will enhance the productivity. It will be an enabler. So if anybody is listening to me or anybody, this message is going across, I think AI is only going to enhance productivity. It is going to enable you to do better and work more effectively or productively. That's point number one. The second point is, in terms of skilling, what we have been doing is, we have in all our curriculum, now we train students in the AVGC space, in beauty and wellness, in computer education, and we are also into a preschool model. So in all of the curriculum and the content, we have ensured that artificial intelligence is integrated in the curriculum. That's point number one. Point number two, we also have live projects, because the current problem statement is learning a skill is easy, but deploying it in your daily job is that difficult. How to deploy. Most of the people who are skilled or students who are skilled don't know how to deploy that skill. For example, just to give you an example, now we teach courses in content creation, we teach courses in AI, UI, gaming and all of that. Now there are various AI softwares that we teach in the curriculum, but unless the students are taken through live projects, which we are consciously ensuring through our curriculum delivery, and internships, so that they can use the skills in real life, real job situations, they are not going to be hands-on on that. So that is one thing. How
about, let's say, if SMEs wanted to get some of their workers trained in AI, at least the basic AI tools, does AppTech have any programs?
Yes, we do have, and I would be happy to connect with, collaborate. You can reach out to us anytime. We can set up a meeting. In fact, we can curate the courses also to suit some of the SMEs, because they might be in different spaces or segments. So we will be more than happy to engage with you, understand your requirements, understand what are the use cases for you, and we can curate the curriculum.
Excellent. So now, Harish, coming to you, if Rishi is going to build this massive trillion parameter model made in India, for India, by Indians, I think hardware is going to be one of the biggest challenges. Compute power, right? Or access to GPUs, which will allow us to train these models, apart from the challenge of data. You are one of the well-established electronic players in the country. How do you see AI playing a role in this whole Make in India or Design in India story? We've had two major announcements coming from Google and Microsoft about setting up data centers, massive ones, the India stack from their perspective. What do you think we need to power our hardware part of the AI stack?
Hello. Yeah, first, thanks for having me here. When you talk about AI in terms of hardware and software both, Today, probably without AI, it will be very difficult to scale up anything. Any new product which is getting developed in any segment, any application that has software, no hardware today can run without the software. And when today the software is enhancing to the next level, which has a stack of AI in every new application. And I don't think so any application now can run without AI in near future. So currently, all new development which is happening across board in the new chips which are getting developed, they are having an AI stack in that. And that's how I think so it has to scale further.
Okay, very good point. Manoj, I'll ask you this because this is an important question which a lot of the medium-sized and small companies here would probably want to ask you as well offline. You talk to a lot of companies, not just in India, but you're based in Singapore. You talk to companies across pretty much the region. What are the challenges they are facing when they talk about AI implementation? Is there too much of an expectation what AI should be delivering, or are they approaching it from a maybe incorrect point of approach? What do you think is the problem in terms of scaling some of these AI projects?
The very first thing is we think through several of the companies we work.
Yeah, it's working.
They think through this as a lot more project. The moment you think about this as an IT project, the challenge becomes it's an IT-centric initiative then. The moment you apply, and I love that example, right? When he was talking about like, hey, how do you think around applying this through the lens of productivity? When you apply lens of productivity and going rapidly like he has, like in 0 to 9 months, things change very rapidly. Second thing probably is kind of very clearly thinking around use cases that would shift the needle very quickly, where you see the very simple 2x2 matrix. How do you apply high impact and ability to execute on 2 dimensions? The moment you do that, that's another very fast example that you can apply. Across the board, what is coming out very strongly is just the number of people you see on LinkedIn with AI expertise versus the ground reality. So talent shortage versus what across the board, universities, coaching institutions, companies like ourselves building that talent. Like combine all of these 3 things, I think is where the opportunity for us is. And these are the challenges, the practical challenges that we see. So without a clear mandate in terms of use cases where you want to go hunt, without the clear set of talent strategy, and last but not least is adoption. We got to really think around a very clear adoption mindset, because it's not 1 or 2 silos of the functions in a company. The whole company-wide initiative, starting with the board, the CEO, the CDO, and AI-led transformation is across every single function. That's what we generally see, the challenges and the opportunities for us.
Okay, excellent. Rishi, now I'm going to come to you and ask you an important question which drives this whole approach to building a sovereign model, not just for India, but in other parts of the world. Every country wants a sovereign model which is specific to their own context, right? You mentioned some of the Param models which are available to download. Could you just walk us through what are the results I would get differently using one of your SLMs compared to, let's say, something from an OpenAI or a Gemini or could be anyone else. So give us some examples where you're seeing great utility because it's localized, it's made in India for India.
That's a great question, because that's a question that we ask a lot as we're building our own models, right? And I think there's 3 dimensions that we think a lot about that are relevant to small, medium, and large businesses as they go on this AI journey. Because AI becomes a very key enabling technology, right? One thing that's different about AI is it's not just a tool. You're actually incorporating a form of intelligence into your business process. And the nature of intelligence is that it's not necessarily predictable, right? We've all learned to adopt tools and software which are largely deterministic. They may not be deterministic in the way that you like, but they're deterministic. The nature of AI is that it's probabilistic, which means that the answer that you get for a particular set of input will be different with time, with context, right? And so there's a huge shift in terms of how you think about integrating AI that, you know, to your point, I don't think everybody's just ready for just yet. A simple example that I like to start off is you know, somebody, you know, with sovereignty, is somebody was talking to me about using one of these LLM models, and they were testing it, and they were asking some question about somebody's at my door, or somebody I don't know is at my door, what should I do, right? And
you really need AI for that?
He was testing the thing, and he comes back and the LLM says, you should lock the door and call 911, right? And now, I think that's a fine enough answer if you live on the west coast of America. But his answer to me was even more, his response to me was even more telling, where he said, sir, हमारे यहाँ पे कोई आता है तो पहले पानी पूछते हैं, right? And I think that sort of encapsulates, you know, part of that conversation around sovereignty, right? Which is, we really think about three things. We think about sovereignty, and I'll explain what I mean. We think about Indianness, and we think about accessibility. Indianness is this notion, you know, we understand language, of course, you know, 22 scheduled languages, we want to support dialects. But culture and perspective are things that we don't think about. Correct. Right? And that's something that's unique to every country. And I don't think the future, you know, wants every single country in the world to have an LLM that speaks like somebody on the west coast of America.
True, absolutely true.
Right.
And it's pointless for someone, you know, a farmer, or let's say a teacher in Bihar, or a farmer in Rajasthan or Tamil Nadu, if he can't query the, you know, AI agent in his own language, in a natural language, which then gives him something which is fruitful and productive, right?
That's right. Maybe I'll just go to a couple of other things. The other things we think about is, when we think about sovereignty, is guaranteed access, which means that if you build the models, you always have access to them, right? Which means that public policy can change globally. You know, people can make decisions that are friendly or unfriendly, but your own AI is always there for you. You always know what's in that AI, so that there are no surprises that you were not aware of. And when it's 2 a.m. and something is not working, you know who to call, and that person's accessible and available in your country, right? So that's another thing we think a lot about, is sovereignty is about guaranteed access. True. And guaranteed knowledge of what's in your model, right? And then the third thing to think a lot about is accessibility, right? Which is, to your point around the farmer, it's not, I mean, I think you've got some amazing models out there, and they have 1,000 PhDs packaged into one. But when your farmer wants to make a call, you know, they need something that can meet them at that cost effectiveness that the Indian farmer needs. That 1,000 GPT, that 1,000, you know, a trillion parameter, 1,000 PhD model doesn't, you know, the token cost doesn't come at something that makes it accessible, right? Or it's not necessarily programmed to think about Indian agriculture. It may be a PhD in agriculture, but it's not helpful if it's a PhD in European agriculture. It needs to be local, it needs to be accessible, Absolutely. It needs to be at a cost point. And that's a lot of what you should expect with the models that are coming from
Exactly. So you're saying that we might actually have a situation where, let's say, an agentic AI that a farmer is using, let's say in Maharashtra, he talks to the agentic or instructs the agentic AI in Marathi, and it does all the heavy lifting and gives the farmer what he wants, right?
Absolutely. And we're actually building these prototypes and concepts to actually demonstrate what it looks like when a farmer can talk about, it needs to be hyper local, because the term cotton is kapus, it's kapis, and just within Maharashtra, the term for cotton, you know, from a farmer changes from district to district. So you really have to start going deep in order to be able to serve everyone that needs to access it.
So I think what's true of a sovereign model is also true of technology, because as we've seen, technology has been weaponized in terms of global diplomacy. We've seen NVIDIA chips getting blocked for sale to China. But the question to you, Haresh, is how much of AI is the electronics industry itself using in terms of, let's say, manufacturing or planning your supply chain or your inventory? How much of AI is actually going into your own business right now in the industry? No, I mean, take your company as an example, but give me a bird's eye view of what's happening in your sector.
Well, to be very frank, OEMs and tier ones are interested in AI, but the readiness is uneven. You can say it varies. Few are experimenting it in areas, you can say design simulation, AI design testing, forecasting, but still there are challenges, and challenges like talent, already he highlighted. They need people who understand process, data, not just tools. And in terms of when you see adaptability, or still they are in a very nascent stage. Everybody wants to jump in AI and they want to run their factories on AI, but it will take its own sweet time to adapt finally and get into the production level. On distribution front, I feel the real value created will be predictability, what to buy, when to buy, where we can carry risk. These are the areas I think so AI can be a good enabler to us, will help us to give more visibility and accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
At our side, we are using AI at multiple places where we want to, compare our data sheets. So we are trying to build in our own engine. The moment somebody needs a quick reference, or you can say comparison, we put in our part number and we get all the equivalents. So these are small baby steps we are taking at our side. But eventually, I think so there is so much to do. It's an ocean for us. We've just started, I would say, within our industry.
No, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. We just like in the nascency of AI. Sandeep, coming to you, you're training people. Aptech has been training people now for decades. As far as AI is concerned, across sectors, what would you say are some of the functions or areas where perhaps businesses should prioritize in terms of Haresh was saying, we are trying out, but it's like very early, we're just testing it out. So if you were to advise, let's say, the SMEs here to tackle certain challenges within their own organization in terms of building, scaling their businesses, what would these 2 or 3 areas, key areas would be? What would you advise them to prioritize?
See, it's an easy question, also a difficult question to answer, because if, like you mentioned, if you have to adopt AI, it cannot be in a specific function or an area. The whole organization has to start adopting or using it in some form or the other. And I think it has to start from the top. It cannot be as an IT project. So it has to be outcome driven. Every function who is using it has to have an outcome-based approach. How is it going to lead to a productivity improvement or a cost reduction or a better decision making or overall increase the throughput or the output of the process that I'm doing. So I think to answer your question, it is not one function or 2 functions that can use it. If the entire organization is not using it, then it doesn't make sense, because the entire value chain then gets broken up, right? So that's my take on this.
So, Manoj, obviously we've seen some companies in the US who've been using AI, they're using agentic AI to do some small negotiations with vendors, they're automating them, and very successfully. SAP is literally a company which is like, in the innards of every organization that uses an SAP. So from your perspective, what are the areas you would suggest that maybe companies should prioritize in terms of adopting AI and looking at outcomes which are very specific from those pilots or experiments that they do?
Maybe I'll just build on what Harish said earlier, right? Business process and data. There are multiple layers of AI and multiple ways to look at it, but the core and crux of this is where SAP lives and breathes is that business process. This company started with that business process. So business process and data, unlike other companies, so that's one big differentiator that we see ourselves playing in that domain. I'll probably go back to this other point that Rajiv was touching on. 60% of India's GDP, SAP is touching one way or the other. And that is so core to our heart in terms of the way we are approaching this foundational element. I'm sure a lot of you might have actually heard about this Joule as a concept. So it's not a product or technology or platform. It's around bringing the AI down to the last business process, L0, L1, L2, L3. That's where the innovation we are driving. So unlike the generative AI, the outcomes that we want to drive are very business in nature, business-centric in nature. So those are the 2 or 3 things we are trying to attempt very differently, unlike some of the hyperscalers or the ChatGPT from a generative AI perspective. So that is a very different approach to where we want to go and innovate is down, like to a CFO, as an example, some of the CFOs in the room. Would you trust a ChatGPT-based example versus the business process AI, where we live and breathe down to last cent and decimal? So that's the difference that we see in terms of approach. And hence the partners that work with us in solving that business process AI is not really just the tech landscape of the problem. It's the entire business process language of the problem as well. So those are the dimensions that we are looking at from SAP perspective.
Right. Rishi, coming to you, I think one of your core mandates is basically to build AI as a public infrastructure, right? Just like the government has built a DPI, which now JAM, it's been a transformational, process for the country. How do you see what Bharat Gen is working on, creating some sort of public infrastructure which a lot of these companies can tap into to build their own, let's say, SLMs or whatever that they need to do in terms of, deploying AI across? So can you just walk us through how you're tackling that piece of the challenge?
So that's one of the unique aspects that is a successful model that India has demonstrated is this public-private partnership, right?
Absolutely.
So we've got something that's different from maybe the American model or the China model, right? And I think there's an opportunity for us to build on it. I think we'll be able to deploy these models. We'll be able to get them in front of people. But I still feel like there's a huge partnership opportunity here, which in AI, which is how do we all come together and raise the whole ecosystem? We are one piece of this, which is, we'll be creating AI and models. I think there's another huge piece around people who are integrating, people who are training, people who are teaching. And maybe that's one thing that I'd like to see us all come together a little bit more on. Data is another piece where data still happens to be locked into silos, right? And so we need to go figure out ways of unlocking that. The exciting thing, I think, from an SME perspective that I'm looking forward to seeing, right, is when you think of platform plays, the people who build the platforms actually are not the ones that are capable even of predicting what will be built on it. Like when the iPhone came out in 2007, I don't know if Apple had thought that somebody could build a photograph-based social media network which would then get acquired for billions of dollars as Instagram was. So I think it's the people that are in this room that are actually going to take the foundational elements that we are building and deploy them in ways that are fundamentally transformative and not just incremental. So really look forward to seeing what this room does.
Yeah, how would that work though in reality for the SMEs here? Give us a futuristic scenario where they're able to piggyback on your work, what you've done, the infrastructure you created. How would I access it?
So I think the infrastructure will get deployed in many different ways, right? There will be utility type of services where you can just tap into them as a utility and an API and an endpoint and be able to use them.
Okay.
There will be ways by which this AI as an intelligence is being incorporated into tools. Different types of AI will get incorporated into different tools and will be available from within the tools. I think it's also going to be fundamentally much simpler to be able to customize this AI to your needs in the future, right? So there is sort of a depreciation of cost, or however you want to look at it, in terms of what the intelligence itself will cost. and what the cost of customizing this intelligence will be. So I think when you have these building blocks in place, that's when you're going to see, you know, the small and medium businesses being able to innovate with the businesses that they build.
Absolutely. So, Harish, coming to you, the India AI story has three large components. Of course, there's the LLM, the large language, multilingual, multimodal model that BharatGen is building and working on. Then there is the compute, you know, we need our own chips and hardware. And then, of course, the cloud infrastructure, the data infrastructure. Do you think India is on track to building what one could say is a globally competitive hardware industry that we need for an AI future?
It's, again, we are on the nascent stage. We have just started. Pre-COVID, we weren't even aware about what is semiconductors all about. And all of a sudden, we have got that awareness that electronics is the largest bill after oil, and now it might cross oil as well. And that is where the push has started from the government. 2020, the acceleration has started, and a lot of schemes, incentives have pumped in. We can see almost 10 big initiatives in terms of semiconductors manufacturing, the fab, OSAT, everything is lined up. A lot of things are happening across board when you say ecosystem on electronic components, semiconductors, and manufacturing. Now, there are three different things. When you talk about electronics manufacturing, the complete box building, we are doing reasonably well. EMSs have grown up, probably, if you go 3 years back, 4 years back, we are more than 30-40% in terms of scale. Every year we are enhancing our capacity. All the products are getting manufactured. Still a lot to come. Now the serious concern what we today have is we are importing all the electronic components and semiconductors. Correct. We don't build anything in-house. 95-97% of components are imported today. That's where government is trying to push, and they've started all this, groundwork since last 4 years. At some level, we have achieved good milestones. The big fab coming up in Assam, Gujarat, the production will start by 27. Few OSATs have already started the production. All this cumulative also, trust me, by 2030, in my little understanding, would not cover 12 to 15% of the requirement of our electronics. So long way to go.
Long way to go. Okay, good point.
So we are catching up. We are the late entrants in the world. We are almost 20, 30 years behind.
Yes.
But yes, I can see the change.
It will change.
I can see that there is so much of conduciveness and so much of investments coming in. Last round, which was the second or third scheme which they announced, we have got 1,14,000 crores of interest shown by the industry,
right,
and 23,000 crores I think the government is offering it.
Right. Okay. So we are running.
So building on that, I tell you. Yeah.
Okay.
And AI will definitely support this.
Okay.
In terms of manufacturing in multiple areas.
Okay. So, we have completed our time, but one quick word from Sandeep on, when Y2K happened, it really catapulted the Indian industry. It transformed as a, global back office. We became the software nation. Is there such an opportunity that exists with AI, or is this low code, no code environment actually a threat?
No, I don't think so. There is a clear opportunity. The challenge is, see the roles, the job roles. Now we have SMEs here, we have people from different industries here. The challenge is the job role and the skills required to do that role have to be mapped. And as an education institution, our job is to do that mapping and create content or create curriculum which satisfies the industry needs. I think if that is done, along with the projects, internships, and the hands-on experience, I think we are through.
Okay, so 10 seconds to Rishi just to wrap up the conversation, to leave our audience with some thoughts on the direction, on what's awaiting India from an AI future point of view. 10 seconds, Rishi.
This is an opportunity to leapfrog. The technology is here. I think it's going to be bigger than internet or anything else that we've seen in 25 years. And I really am excited to see India take a leadership role here.
Fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been amazing. Obviously, these gentlemen are available. They'll be available at dinner. So please pick their brains. They are some of the smartest people you'll find in the AI space. So feel free to catch up with them offline. Thank you.
Huge round of applause for Shri and the panelists. Requesting the panelists to quickly give us a photo opportunities, even as we get the stage ready for the next panel discussion. Quick photo opportunity for the panelists. Huge round of applause for the panelists. It's been a fascinating discussion on artificial intelligence. All right, so that was the first of the two panel discussions for the evening on artificial intelligence. It's time now to move on to the next. As we move on to the next, it's important to bear in mind that as we discuss AI and digital transformation, another key factor for mid-sized companies in India to increase their contribution to a vision of a Viksit Bharat is access to finance. It's one of the pillars of this campaign, really, because this campaign is built on 4 pillars, including digital transformation, access to finance, policy prescription, and succession or business planning. That's what Visionaries of Viksit Bharat is all about. And the next panel discussion is all about that. Access to capital, access to finance, and that's why it's called Capital Calculus, Financing the Future. That's the theme of our next panel discussion. And to moderate that panel discussion, let me first invite R. Sridharan, our editor international, back on stage. Shri, we're not letting go of you. You have a busy day. So Shri will be moderating that panel discussion again. Another fascinating conversation is what we can expect. Let me now get the panelists on stage for this. We have Mr. Ramesh Babu, founder and MD, Seashell Logistics. Huge round of applause for Mr. Ramesh Babu. We have Mr. Josefa Khorakiwala, CEO and Director, Bolstart India Limited. Huge round of applause for Mr. Khorakiwala. Ashwani Narang, partner, Deloitte India. Deloitte, a transformation partner. And we have Abhishek Sahi, Head Customer Advisory, Corporate SAP India as well. Huge round of applause for Mr. Abhishek Sahi. And without any further ado, Shri, the floor is all yours again.
Thank you very much, Krishna. I'm back again on the stage, ladies and gentlemen. I promise I'll try to keep it as engaging as possible so that none of you falls asleep. Capital calculus, I mean, one can't exaggerate the importance of, money. They say, money makes the world go round, and it truly does. And if I were to look at the SME story in India, it's a tragic story in many ways when it comes to money. While on paper, I think the credit exposure to the SME industry is 35 lakh crore. But guess what? It's just 14% of their actual credit need, which means 86% of the capital need of SME comes from non-institutional sources, which includes families and friends, usurious moneylenders who charge exorbitant rates, which then shortens the runway for these SMEs to even try and survive. So it's a huge challenge that the SMEs face from a capital point of view. And I was looking at some data, and what worries me is that the new credit accounts, basically the companies that are coming into the credit system for the first time, that number is actually declining. That means 2 things. One, it hints that from a banking perspective, there's a saturation of bankable SMEs, right? But it also means that more and more SMEs are being squeezed out of the market, which means that they're not getting the money that they need to fund their future. What's the culprit? Of course, a lot of banks want collaterals before they lend to you. There are many policy reforms that we need. But today, I'd like to start off with, Huzaifa, because while Huzaifa runs Biostat, he comes from a very distinguished and storied family, the Khorakiwala family. Huzaifa, I was just going through Biostat's, financials. You're a privately held company, so not much that is publicly available, but from all the sources that I could look at, you are a very conservative company, right? You haven't raised private equity, you haven't raised venture capital, and I'm sure there are tons of PE firms and VC firms who are running after you to put money because, one, the family, tremendous equity, the goodwill that the family enjoys, and also the sectors you're in, they're really, really critical and you're doing well. Explain to me your thought behind not accessing either private equity or even banking. You don't use all of your credit line as well that you have from banks. You're probably using 30% of what you're entitled to, right? So what is the thought behind this? You are willing to grow at a very impressive but steady pace rather than explode, because that goes against what the common trend in the market today is. I mean, all startups are raising tons of money from VCs and then exploding their growth. Why is your thought process different?
Hi, thanks for having me here, Sridhar, and SAP and TV9. I think that's quite a challenging question. You've actually put me why we're not taking money. But that's only as much as the body can digest. See, being conservative is not about we're risk averse. We do like to take our risks. We take our risks within a certain means of what the market can offer you. Many a times we perceive the market to be much larger than what it is and we try to go at it. But, from a consumer, our consumers at the end of the day, farmers, right? And today, if you look at this farming sector, this sector is totally dependent on the weather. It's dependent on government pricing policies of the end produce that they grow. Those come with a certain set of challenges which we hear all the time in the news when it comes to the farmers. You've seen the protests, all these things. Our peers also who are in this industry, right, they do have to be conservative about how much they keep out there in the market. So we've taken a decision to be, capital averse, work out of your own internal accruals, and how to also achieve this. You got to be a little bit grounded with reality. This is going on. Yeah, once it's easy to raise money, it's easy to go to the market nowadays. There's so many private equities and venture firms which come, but they come with a certain demands which are not in touch with reality. Yes, we like to grow at 25, 30, 40% with so much money. You go acquire a bunch of companies and then you're in debt. How do you pay off that high cost of capital at some point when your end consumer is not able to give you the response that you need?
I'll come to that because the sector you're in that also has its own challenges in terms of seasonality. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But let me come to Ramesh. Ramesh, you also run a privately held company, and you are more dependent on banks than Huzaifa is. What has been your experience in terms of financing your growth? Because you also represent a very important part of the industry in the logistics business, and you also done very well. How has your experience been in terms of getting access to capital? What are the challenges you faced, and how have you overcome those challenges?
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. And yes, as you rightly mentioned, like I'm representing logistics, but basically Seychelles Logistics is a shipping company. So I come from a shipping background and a supply chain related, which is needed for the trade altogether. And the hot topic with Trump, the tariffs and all. So coming back to your point and your question is, when I look back, and yes, I mean, it is a very tough journey. It's not an easy, like all of you, all the entrepreneurs here there should have been passing through, but milestone should have been different, the years should have been different. But as you mentioned, we are privately held, and we do not also have any kind of private equity or any kind of a funding, but largely dependent on the banks in fact. So, I mean, I got surprised myself initial days, like with the traditional approach of industry for so many years, and I'm talking about 2 decades, not older than that. So when banks come back, because we are in shipping industry, shipping is mostly of service, and banks come back and say, we only understand manufacturing, and we do not have an understanding of non-manufacturing asset-light model. And it is very surprising and it is shocking to me, how do we make them understand? And when we try to make them understand within the closed door and try to make 2, 3, 4 gentlemen, whoever is there, at the chain, but they come back and says that we have a policy, and that too, I don't want the name, but the biggest of the big banks, in fact, PSUs, they come back and say that it's a policy, like wherein we do not recognize other than manufacturing. That's a very narrow kind of a mindset, and it is very difficult and to get a convenient way of making them understand. And the next thing comes back is a bookish culture, bookish approach, or policy approach, and the risk parameters which the banks come forward and try to put it across. So unless you can scale and your success turns wherein it is an exemplified kind of a success, the banks, including the new modern banks, I'm not talking about the current date, which is with all venture capitals, which is available now in the current regime, about maybe a few years, less than a decade or so, but with all new technology again. Mine is a conventional trade. Shipping is not new. It is a conventional trade running from centuries. So it's very tough, difficult journey. I still think that it is still, certain part of this mindset is still with the banking and capital, even at this moment.
I absolutely hear you, because now we actually in an environment we're talking of deep tech, we're talking about technology, where there is no physical inventory to put before a credit officer to say, okay, this is there. It's IP. I spent 30 crore developing an IP, which doesn't have a market today, but at some point it's going to be future. But how do you price that? So before I go to both Ashwini and Abhishek, I want to talk to both Huzaifa and you a little bit about this whole collateral business, because that really is what is keeping a lot of the SMEs away from the credit market, because many of them, majority of SMEs, I would say 35 to 40% of SMEs don't have collaterals to give because they are so small, they're in different businesses. If I'm in services business, what collateral am I supposed to give? So how do you address that challenge?
Yeah, I think when we look at the financial sector in general, let's take the SME and the MSME sector. When a large company, a large cap company goes to a bank, he'll probably get an interest rate for working capital at 9-10%. You go to the SMEs who have the same business model, the same product or service, they offer it at 15% interest rate purely because of the rate, of the risk,
Risk profile.
For the risk profile. Now that 5% on your income statement hits your EBITDA margin. Now, are you playing on the same are you playing on the same field, on the same playground? So I think the financial sector needs to re-look at this. Yes, you can take collaterals, assets, and all these kinds of things. Today, even a brand today in India, unfortunately, is not valid. As in Kingfisher case, we kind of saw it coming out that the trademark
was on the balance sheet as a goodwill. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. But that is what you do the business with. Now if you're getting a higher interest rate for just being a smaller company, and the bankers sitting across it, yaar, ye nahi karega ye. Par wo bada wala kar jayega. So I think this is the challenge we need to address first.
So, any ideas on how this whole issue of collateral should be addressed by bankers? Any ideas on what you would want to recommend to them from a policy change perspective?
Yeah, I think it's a big question. We need to be other side of, we need to be in their shoes also to understand more. But yes, initially to start, interacting or relationship with any new enterprise, there is a risk parameter definitely one has to be looking at and seeing. But once the business model is understood, it is not the collaterals which the bank should be looking at. Bank should stop looking at this bookish theory of collateral. It is a business model which is important. It is the business what the enterprise is, value of the enterprise which is running, and the generation of value that enterprise is giving to the community as well as the economy as a whole is something the bank should be looking at. And this is my perspective, and this is what I look forward the banks to change in their mindset.
Excellent. Okay. So, Abhishek, I'm going to come to you because a friend of mine, a VC friend of mine, actually got me thinking on this question when he said, I deal with companies, many young companies, which actually have no MIS reporting. They don't even know what their cash flow really is. And SAP is really the company that helps with all these things. So from your perspective, how important would your tech savviness, how important is your adoption of technology critical from a credibility point of view, from a credit worthiness point of view? How important is technology? If you're a young company, you may tend to overlook it. But what is your experience when you talk to companies? What do you find?
All right. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me in this panel. I will say in one word, technology gives trust to the overall business. And that trust comes with three pillars. That comes with visibility, it comes with predictability, and it comes with governance. If you look at any private equity or a VC, they are basically looking to trust the data that a company is actually giving to them. And that's where an enterprise-grade platform, SAP, really comes in. And what it does is provide last-mile digitization to their processes. And whatever comes out of the SAP system has already been audited by the business itself. And that is highly trustworthy. What it also does, technology, what it also does is that it helps you or sets you up for scalability. And that scalability comes as you are digitizing the entire value chain, be it your planning, be it procurement, inventory, manufacturing, finance, everything that comes with it. And that, when you wrap it up with the compliance-based reports that we as SAP provide, that actually provide, not only improves that kind of boosts the brand image of that organization, and that is what eventually technology is able to add to businesses.
Absolutely. So now, Ashwini, from a Deloitte point of view, what would you say are the 3 or 4 things which are important from an investor perspective? Like, do I have a checklist, like 4 things which determines my interest or my willingness to invest in a particular SME?
No, I think great question, and thank you for having me here today. I'm sitting with a stalwart who doesn't need money, so he might not care about that, but the other person who is very asset intensive would probably look at it. But just to tell you the way companies probably look at, or PE, or for that matter, when it comes to investment, there are guardrails which are defined very clearly around the financial segment. And I think this is where we need to know the risk appetite of how we basically are going to run the company, which is, by the way, has to be approved by the board. And that's where you get the confidence back from a PE standpoint that, yes, I'm willing to invest in that company. The resilience of a corporation matters. We are living in a world where we are hearing every day, there's a new tariff, there's a new problem at hand. And I've not seen this vulnerable supply chain for that matter. So do I know my vendor score for risk? If one of my vendor goes bankrupt, or for that matter, this vendor is basically procuring it for someone else who is actually under tariffs, then I know my supply chain is risky. Can I now look at probably having something which will give an investor the confidence for them to invest in me? And I think the third most important part is, while everything is working well, the compliance, the governance structure has to work well as well. So in the MSMEs which are running, you would look at investors looking at a clear succession plan for that matter, a clear management layer. The promoter has his or her own responsibilities, but the management has to work separately. So if you are a PE, they would then think the promoter is going to exit. But if you're going to the bank or you're going for an IPO, the money would come in when you have a long-term succession plan, which is built for success, for scale, for positivity in the company. So I think these are few parameters which would definitely be looked at when it comes to investments.
Right. I also see in the audience that there's Pankaj Razdan, who has great experience of raising billions of dollars, not a few hundred crores, billions of dollars for large operations. So do feel free to grab him. Don't let him go without giving you some advice on fundraising. Coming back to you, Huzaifa, your situation is obviously unique. You know, it's a established family, and probably access to capital, your own capital was probably easy. What would your advice be to other companies which are entrepreneurs who probably don't have your kind of legacy and the net worth? How should they bootstrap their own companies? How should they access capital? How should they approach this whole idea of financing their growth?
Tough question.
It's a tough question.
It's a tough one. But
I wouldn't put an easy question to you.
If you have a certain product or services, and and there's already a peer out there of yours, which you probably got the product or service right from your larger peer, I'll probably go to him, because he's for him to innovate and for him to do the service that you're looking to do, it's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to cost him a lot of money, but you have done it, and he'll probably value your time and probably give you that capital to pursue it. So he can put it down through his own chain. I would go to my peer, and if that's the case, leave the egos aside, but you need to sort of manage your income statement and your balance sheets if you have to really look for growth. Sometimes, sometimes a competitor would be your best friend.
Right. I think we are also getting to the end of this panel, but Rameshji, one question which I want to ask you, when you think of your future growth, obviously you want to expand, you want to scale, you want to go to newer markets as well. How do you approach this whole issue of fundraising for yourself? You have to necessarily move out of this whole credit environment. You'll have to probably look at private equity as well and venture capital as well. What are the challenges you're going to face when you think along those lines?
I mean, this was the question which was asked by ourselves internally. Maybe I can turn back my milestone calendars and look at, probably should have been 10, 12 years line. I know, but it was 2013, yes. It was 2013, we had more than, 8, 9, couple of people, less than 10. I think 7, 8 IMs which have been there. So the idea was strategically to grow and have that. We have IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, and we have many of them. We were discussing, and that size of my organization when we were doing was at about, we were doing 150, 130 crores was the size. And we have come to the point, at that point of the discussion, that it is the private equity is the necessity for us, for sure, to have the growth. To that time, we were looking at about 700, 750 was the aim which we were making. So then we did some exercise and wanted to do it and all that. For some reason, as he has mentioned, so we took it. For me, it was like I want to stretch the boundaries and see what the thought process to what level of scaling which we would be able to do. And believe me, with, today is 2013 and 2025, about 12 years and 4 years to be reduced, about in 8, 9 years from that time. So we could already cross 1,000 crores without having a private equity in place, without having the fundraising which is being done in place. So all this could be able to done when you have trust build up in the banking systems which is there. And now we always have rushing up. For the last, I can say, we did some road shows, not that with the consultant and all that. Whenever I am in London, I used to go around and meet the people, interact. Not that we wanted to understand what is happening. Being a shipping in London is something which is, very, this important location for us. We keep traveling. So now, for the last 6 years or 5 years, I can say, there's a continuous flow of knocking which happens to us, saying that we are interested, we keep interested, we wanted to do you wanted to have it and all. So I think there is no challenge in private equity to happen with the doors being opened from Indian perspective. But the right platform need to be looked at for the entrepreneur to do. One has to do the homework properly. One has to have a business model with the governance and the transparency, and having the best business model and the product which makes the industry to accept it. I think that now the challenges have been reduced, but I cannot compare with someone who is a startup which wanted to do it the day one and wanted to do business with the investors' money. That would be a perspective which will be different. But whereas I am looking at when we have scaled up already, and they wanted to have the benefit, and we also wanted to have a magnificent growth beyond which. But we see now, at this moment, as a Seychelles, we are looking at not for private equity, but going to an offering of public as and when we wanted to do it. This is what I think my journey says.
Okay. So before I go to Abhishek, I want to quickly explain your choice of going for an IPO rather than a private equity, and I also want whoever to add to that once maybe. Sure. Why did you decide IPO and not, let's say, get a private equity investor and then IPO?
The private equity is a catalyst for you to reach certain, 3x, 5x, whatsoever, which there is a catalyst for you to go. And that brings with the ecosystem. One, with the technology, definitely. You can invest money in the technology. You can invest money in compliance. You can invest money in the other ecosystem which supports you to go the catalyst for the growth. But when your dream or once your story is being convinced by the banks, by themselves, which they are interested in to come forward, and you have trust in your own journey going forward, I think the banks can be part of it to reach there, and then unlocking the value is something which you will be looking at. So that is where the IPO will come out,
right.
The reason for.
So do you share that view that unlocking value has to happen for promoters at some point, right? I mean, fair enough, dividend income and all that is good, but at some point you need to create serious value for yourself, and that gets discovered in a public market, right?
See, sometimes I feel, contrary to going public, your critical part of your business is what product you offer. Now, no matter how much money you raise from the private investors or from the market, if your product and service just doesn't have an appeal towards the consumer, what is that money going to do good for you, right? Now, being a part of especially a highly regulated pesticide biostimulant company, you have one compliance with your product itself, which is probably larger than even the financial compliances, right? Now, when you go to the stock market, we all know the heaps of paperwork that we have to do to just comply. So where will the organization's focus be driven, right? So if you lose your eyeball on your main thing, that what is giving you the money, because of compliances, you may just lose out on what your business actually is. So I think I personally spend about 50% on my time on just two things. First is marketing, and the second one is innovations. The money then seems to flow that way. I sit with my CFO maybe once every day to see cash positions. But if I have to sit and be like, yaar, investor ko itna dikhana abhi target nahi aa gaya hai. So where does your attention go? Then you lose the eye on the business. Your product should be the one giving you the return on your capital.
Right. So, yeah, sure. So what I hear is that possibly it's a good idea to list once you reached a certain scale, where compliance is just a small part of your overall activity, and it's not going to take a management bandwidth in terms of compliance. So I think that's a fair point. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would completely agree with his viewpoint when you are looking at an organic growth. But when you're looking at scaling up for inorganically, you need to have enterprise value and unlocking the value. I mean, this is my perspective.
Yeah. Josefa has actually acquired a small companies, albeit small companies, from internal accruals as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you want to add something? Okay, cool. So Abhishek, raising capital is one thing, but making sure that there is capital efficiency within the organization is another thing, right? And I'm sure there's a role that technology can play in that as well. What would your advice be to small and medium-sized enterprises when it comes to using technology to ensure capital efficiency and monitoring of businesses as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to take a leaf from both the gentlemen's book, I think companies exist eventually to create value for the customers, value for the stakeholders, value for their own employees, partners, everyone. And that value creation is extremely costly. It's not easy to do that. You need money to actually create that value. And when you talk about capital deployment, right, that the fundamental over there is how efficiently capital is being used in every process of the organization. So in my previous question also, as I said, SAP kind of prides itself of digitizing value chains across industries, across different countries. And the fundamental, I will say, result of that is to understand where every rupee is being spent in a particular process. Can that capital be deployed into other value generating activities? Probably in a particular roadmap of an organization, probably capital might be needed in one specific process now. Probably if some other product is being innovated, probably capital needs to be diverted there. So the ability to logically kind of move capital from one place to the other place is where technology can really add a lot of value, because you take out subjectivity out, it's only objectivity that remains once you have technology. And that individual bias, that bias towards or, bias towards a particular process or a particular part of the organization gets completely wiped out if you have that objectivity of technology. And I think in today's world, like Ashwini also mentioned, the fragility of supply chains or all, I think you need that objectivity to really come to the forefront and then leverage technology to see which is the next level of growth and how I can scale in that part of the business.
Excellent. So I think that brings me to my last question, which I'll throw to Ashwini, because this is slightly a consultant territory, I would say, because I'm going to ask you to explain or tell our delegates here, if you're a small or medium enterprise, how should I approach this whole issue of funding my growth from a timing and a mix of capital perspective? Obviously, there are two buckets. There's equity, there's debt, but many flavors in between. How should I plan for my capital fundraising, the mix as I grow? Is there a broad framework, a template that they should pay attention to?
No, that's a great question. And let me tell you, the founder would have their side of the story. The technology would say, I can provide you the means, but it's us who has to deliver. So that questions come back to us many of the times. And I believe when it comes to having a mix and the timing, there is definitely a framework. And I believe Huzefa was trying to explain that. Let's say if I start with him, I think he's happy with the internal accrual process. He's happy with a stage where I would say it's the nascent stage. That's the basic fundamental. We always look at probably doing internal accrual first. We probably would consolidate businesses. We would look at the asset utilization, etc., and probably would say that's how I'm going to generate funds and going to run my organization. When it comes to, let's say, probably the next step, you probably can look at a bank like the way he is doing right now to basically go. Of course, there are assets which you will have to provide as guarantees, and that's how you can raise funds probably for your organization. So I would say when you're in a nascent stage, you look at internal accrual. When you get to the bank, you're trying to get to the scale. When it comes to PE, the way it's been looked at is totally different. PE understands the promoter is looking at valuation. They're looking at speed. They're looking at nimbleness, agility. They're looking at global connections. They're looking at markets. They're looking at processes. And that's where they would say, eventually the promoter might say, I'm going to exit. And therefore, they have to control the governance and the compliance structure of it. So that's how I would say PE would look at things. And when it comes to the last bit, which is IPO, you build a legacy. You build a brand which is going to survive for the next generations to come. So that is going to bring balance, worth, and probably the scale which you are looking at in the organization for the country. So that's how probably all four would look at it very, very differently, or how an organization needs to be built.
Excellent. And that also, like, it's a perfect timing because the man who runs India's largest and most powerful stock exchange has walked into the hall, and I'm sure everyone wants to listen to what NSE Emerge as a platform offers to these small and medium-sized companies, apart from the Big Daddy, the platform. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for my panelists who shared their thoughts generously, given you a lot of great insights. So back to you, Krishna.
Right, thank you, Shri. Let's quickly have a photo opportunity as well for the wonderful panelists for this wonderful conversation. Requesting the audience to again give them a huge round of applause. It's been a fascinating conversation on capital, the capital calculus, and how it's set to build the future. All right, time now to move on, because it's a good time now to get the guest of honor tonight on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the guest of honor tonight is none other than the man who is the Managing Director and CEO of the National Stock Exchange of India. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Mr. Ashish Chauhan, requesting you to please take the stage. You can take the podium over here. Okay, I'm going to request at this stage to please welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Prasanna Raghav of the TV9 network, and Mr. Manoj Purohit of SAP to please come on stage to honor Mr. Ashish Chauhan. Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, requesting you to please speak for us for the evening. If you can quickly take a photo opportunities as well of Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. All right, time now to quickly move on. And for the guest of honor's address, Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, please go ahead.
So thank you for TV9 for calling me here. It's a kind of a good time for India, and so in some ways it reflects in the stock markets, indexes. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they go down. But broadly, last almost a decade, it has been a one-way ride. When Mr. Modi took over in 2014, I recall India's market capitalization, as represented by NSE, was around 67 lakh crore. After 11 years, it's now around 470 lakh crore. So almost 7 times. And similarly, the number of investors in May 2014 was around 1.6 crore investors on NSE, unique investors. We count, we have PAN numbers of every investor. Today, we have 12.2 crore investors. And so in terms of the market capitalization of 475 lakh crore is around $5.3 trillion. It's the 4th largest market in the world. And of course, we are the 4th largest economy in the world. But the fact is, we are a low per capita income country. It's now we are called low middle income country because at $3,000 it's now middle income. But even China is middle income at $15,000, right? So after 5x, you will still remain middle income. And there is an economic theory that a low per capita income countries cannot have well-functioning financial markets. There are books written on them. They are taught in development economics, saying because the poor people cannot save because most of their money, if they earn, that goes in just buying consumables. And if they save, they don't trust their brothers. How they are going to trust a banking system, how they are going to trust even a stock market. And the stock markets are the last thing that are expected in any economy of our type, which is low per capita income, right? And India is unique in many ways, but India is unique even in stock markets, that we have almost 25% of households, because 12.2 crore investors have 25% women and 9 crore households. India has around 35 crore households, each house having 4 people, 140 crore people. So literally 1/4 of all households now invest their money through stock markets, which is not true for advanced countries like Germany, France, and so on and so forth. And we are almost 160, 170% of now London Stock Exchange market in terms of the market capitalization. We are also 160% of the Indian banking system size. When I started working on setting up a new stock exchange called NSE in '92, Indian banking system was almost 5-6 times larger than India's stock markets. Now India's stock markets have become 160, 170% of India's banking system. Why I'm telling you this is that it is unique in many, many ways, and why this happens in the lifetime of a nation. I say that last 1,000 years, when technology race was being run, India was not even in the stadium. It was not even 10 kilometers in the stadium. We were pioneers of technologies, and technologies are the only changes that happen in the world. The society surrounds technology. Technologies create wealth. And those societies which can adapt to newer technologies are the societies which will create more wealth, will have better life than other comparable societies. In last 1,000 years, suddenly we started looking in-house, inside, trying to manage our internal hierarchies. And that's how the outsiders learned from us, came, attacked us, and subjugated, right? This is literally after 1,000 years, first time in India's history that we are at the forefront of technology table. And the way the technologies come, they come in waves. They used to come slow earlier, and so we didn't realize, humankind did not realize that it's happening. All this progress or changes in life for better are happening because of the changes in technology. Around 400-500 years back, that pace of technology waves became faster, which is called Industrial Revolution. And that's how we started realizing that the technologies are the things that change the societies, and they create more wealth. And technology doesn't have to be something which is like information technology. It is something which is completely new, ways of doing older things, or things which you had never even thought about, but and they don't have to be even science-based. But broadly speaking, the last 100 years have seen several new technologies become part of life, democratize themselves faster. And India was still not in the race. Almost 1990s, we started looking out, became a little liberalized, started adapting technologies. And early 90s, the entire economics was built on manufacturing. It's still, if you go to television debates, it's about how we are not spending capital to create more capital, right? That we are not having capital formation. But for me, it's the other way around, that you are looking at input and not output. the modern framework, the technology has evolved such a way. I mean, Karl Marx wrote about communism, right? And he invented a word called capitalism. There was no capitalism before Karl Marx. As a contrast to his framework of communism, he created the word called capitalism, which meant that you have to put in a lot of money to create more money, right? That is the capitalism. And India was always capital starved for 1,000 years. And that's why we did not have capital. And somehow, we still wanted to create more jobs. Baba Saheb Ambedkar wrote about how people went from farms to industrial activities in Europe, and that's how they developed. And so that was the path Europe took. We wanted to take that path. That was what the economics wrote. And so we are all good students, especially of written books. They have become irrelevant in Europe and US, but we still talk about all our best economists sit in US. They can't teach that to their politicians and their people, but they come and teach here. Right? But broadly speaking, that economics of putting a lot of money to create more money, more jobs, in a way ensured a lot of our banks became bankrupt. In the meantime, some people started sort of working on newer technologies, which did not require more capital. They required less capital, lot of brains, lot of exposure, larger markets. And that is what I call capitalism without capital. The new capitalism doesn't require a lot of capital. Of course, infrastructure companies will require, some of the manufacturing companies may require a little more. But broadly speaking, today's framework does not require a lot of capital for most businesses to come up. And that started being built around same time as NSE was being built. In 92, NSE was formed. 93, there was an issue, public issue that came called Infosys. It was a small company nobody had heard of. Nobody had heard of the industry also. And that issue came because NSE had not started functioning. It was only on BSE. And that issue actually failed because nobody had heard of the company, nor anyone thought that this company will do well. And that company's, I think, share price was issued at 70 rupees or 90 rupees per share. And that issue failed. And there used to be compulsory underwriters in IPOs those days, so that in case the issue fails, they will pay up. And so those people reluctantly, I mean, their job is to actually make money out of not paying anything. That is underwriters, right? Like you give guarantees, you collect money, never want to pay for the guarantee, right? But those underwriters had to reluctantly pay for that issue to make it subscribed. And that issue's name is Infosys, right? After that, it went up probably 10,000 times by now, right? And it became a legend. And then many more newer and newer similar business came with very little capital. Those people were, and also when I grew up, none of us had capital. Very few people had capital. And I mean, always, because we all justify, right, our poverty. And so we used to justify the entire country, that is, including my family or my area, my city, saying if you are in money, either your forefathers left it or you have committed a great sin, right? Or you are from the business family because you know how to do business, they fund you and stuff. And so very few castes had aspirations to become business people. But Nandan Nilekani, Narayan Murthy, they gave a new paradigm saying, you don't have to commit sin, you have to use your brain and you can become billionaires, right? It was a new paradigm. It was a new thing. And that has spawned many generations of literally every 5 years newer entrepreneurs come. And they all want to try. When I was studying, I was young, none of us wanted to become entrepreneurs. We wanted to have government jobs. Still in North India, a lot of people want to have government jobs, right? But large part of India has figured there is a way you learn newer technologies and you can make a good living. And if you take risk, then you can become even billionaires. And now today we had a new listing called Meesho. It's a app-based e-commerce. They're claiming to have the largest number of e-commerce users in India who actually transact. They may not be making that much money because they seem to have a very low margin business. But And few days back, we had somebody called Physics Wala. And before that, few days before that, there was a company called Grow. These are all youngsters, came from nowhere. Today's two boys of Misho, one of them is from Meerut. The other boy is from Hazaribagh in Jharkhand, which used to be coal mafia belt. Probably it still is. Why I'm telling you this is people now have started aspiring to make money out of not having money, right? And I used to be one of them. I set up NSC early on in life, then I started on my own, funded by some large corporate, and failed. And I have been serially failed entrepreneur. But whatever wealth I got in my family is largely because I became an entrepreneur, not because I have been a good employee, I'm a CEO, but because, so entrepreneurship has now created that role models that you can do good, you can be sort of honest and still make it big. And that is what sort of is now driving India from every corner, every nook. We have, and of course, last 30 years, we also become slightly richer. Some people have little capital. And as I told you, 12 and 12.2 crore people are now investing into other people's businesses. I have investors in every zip code in India except 28. India has more than 19,400 zip codes. I have pin codes, I have investors in Arunachal Pradesh, remotest part. I have investors in Ladakh. I have investors in Andaman Nicobar. Every nook and corner, that lady who is putting her 1,000 rupees, hard-earned 1,000 rupees into a company in Salem, in Tamil Nadu, she's never going to visit that place, but she has a complete confidence on the entrepreneur that he's going to work hard and make money for that company, and also I will have a little share of that, right? It's such a great, beautiful trust, the market of trust which we have developed. And that is what, for me, it kind of motivates me to say that why those societies which trust each other are the societies which are going to create more wealth. The societies which adapt to newer technologies are going to create more wealth. And the societies which are young adapt to newer technologies, if they are given that background to that. And so India, over the last 30 years, has become a very high-tech country, although poor even now. If you look at Japan, it is old. If you look at China, it has suddenly become old. I was in South Korea talking last month on similar issues, and I heard a statistic that in next 40 years, they will have half the population of what they have today. China is also going to be half the population of India by 2100. Today we are the same size. They have become very old people. India is young. You have, of course, next door, Pakistan and Bangladesh, both very large size countries compared to the world. And they are also young, but they want to look back, not forward, right? You go to Europe, it has become old. You go to America, it will become old if Indians don't go. This year, America will have less number of people than last year, you know that? Why I'm telling you this is, it's a slow-moving train wreck, that's why we don't see this, demographics. And demographics of India is right place, right time. India's technology adoption, India's background, financialization, everything is perfect. And now the newer technologies are going to come faster and faster. Newer wealth is going to get created faster and faster. And many of the people now getting invested into as angels, as venture capitalists, may not fund some of you, because everyone doesn't get funded by those people. But I have 12.2 crore investors available to you. If they like, even 1,000 people like your story, you can raise your funds, give dreams, give wings to your dreams, and of course make money for yourself, but also make money for your shareholders. And that is what I'd come here to tell you, that whatever your size today is not going to remain tomorrow. I have, as an entrepreneur, I am from finance, I am from technology. When my software business was doing 10 crore, 15 crore business, I used to go to my venture capitalist friends and say, boss, give me some funding. And they don't want to tell you no. So they would come out with a new, sort of newer and newer excuse saying, "Arey boss, 25 crore tak lao fir dekhte hain." Our ticket size does not allow us to go below funding of $5 million and all. And so all sorts of new reasons come. But after 10, 15, 20 people, I realized that it's not worth it. And so when I sold my company, it was owned by my wife, she's a doctor, but I was working full time and this company was running. And so when it was sold to BSE, and I came to BSE back after sort of selling that company because they wanted me to work for the company, at least for 1 year. And that's when I said we need to have some framework for small companies to raise funds. And that's how the BSE SME was born, NSE's Emerge was born. Today, over last 13 years since both of them started, almost 1,400 companies have listed. They raise 1 crore, 2 crores to even 50 crore, 100 crores now on SME board. 20% companies have gone to the main board. They have become that large. And many more will go. Some of them have become multi-billion dollar companies. Some people who have raised 2 to 3 crores in 2012 have now personally become worth 5,000 crores. And so now India is ready to fund you. India is open for business. So come, open your businesses, come to markets and make wealth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Ashish Chauhan, for that. Requesting you to please stay on stage because we have our next round of felicitation of Visionaries of Viksit Bharat lined up for that. And to join Mr. Ashish Chauhan on stage, let me please invite Mr. R. Sridharan, Editor International of TV9 Network, to please take the stage. And also Mr. Mohit Purohit of SAP India, requesting Mr. Purohit to please take the stage as well. Okay, I'm going to begin by inviting somebody who is just part of a panel discussion here as well, Mr. Huzefa Korakiwala, Biostat India Limited. Viksit Bharat. He is the director of a company that's known for household brands like Ram Bandhu and Temptin. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Anand Rathi of Empire Spices and Foods Limited. We have a representative from the company to collect the award on his behalf. Up next, we have somebody whose leadership has positioned the Seashell as a trusted force in turnkey shipping and complex infrastructure logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Ramesh Babu Churumamilla of Seashell Logistics Private Limited. Up next, we have somebody to receive the honor on behalf of AppTech, a pioneering multinational in vocational training and skill development since the year 1986. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Sandeep Welling, Chief Business Officer and whole-time Director of AppTech Limited. And now, we we have a pioneer in India's electronics distribution sector. He has built one of the country's most trusted component supply networks. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Harish Abhichandani, Millennium Semiconductors India Private Limited. We have a veteran with 35 years in sheet metal manufacturing. He has built Mehta Pressing, which is established in 1994, into a global leader in precision engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Tushar Mehta of Mehta Pressing. And he is being accompanied by his wife, Bhairavi Mehta, as well. Requesting Tushar Mehta and his wife, Bhairavi Mehta, to please take the stage. And now we have somebody who's carrying forward a legacy built since the year 1984. He has driven the group's growth into one of India's leading real estate conglomerates. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Saket Mota of Merlin Group of Companies. At this stage, let me also invite Mr. Sanjeev Mulchandani, President of TV9 Network, to please join the presentation party on the stage for the rest of the Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Time now to invite somebody who is carrying forward the legacy established in 1984 by his father, Arun D. Vargaonkar. He helped steer this Maharashtra-based food manufacturing company known for its authentic spices and masalas. We're talking about Mr. Tushar Arun Vargaonkar of Gharkul Industries Private Limited. We have Aditya, his brother, joining us now on stage to accept the award on his behalf. Finally, we have somebody who is representing the 6th generation of the founding family of the company. She leads key functions across marketing, production, and packaging innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Riddhi Merchant from Laji Godhu & Co. With that, we're going to thank the entire presentation party, especially our guest of honor, Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, for taking time out to stay with us for so long. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us despite your busy schedule. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you to Shri and Mr. Purohit and Mr. Mulchandani for joining us for the presentation party. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for a very, very special guest. Okay? Before that, before we invite our special esteemed guest, right, before we let go of Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, we're going to ask Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan to felicitate another visionary who's also a very special and esteemed guest for us tonight. A visionary who belongs to two different worlds, who is an actor and an entrepreneur and doing something so good and so important for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Ms. Kritika Kamra. Requesting Ms. Ashish Kumar Chauhan to please felicitate her. She is one of the visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Okay. And with that, we are all set to. Okay, and with that, we are coming to a very important session. It is, let me introduce the session for you. It's called a class act, blending creativity and commerce. A class act blending creativity and commerce. And for that, and that is the reason why we have this very special esteemed guest with us tonight who blends creativity and commerce, who comes from the world of creativity and has been doing so much good work in the field of commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I'm going to invite on stage our esteemed guest again, Ms. Kritika Kamra. Please requesting you to come for our fireside chat. Huge round of applause for Kritika Kamra. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here for TV9 Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Please, ma'am. The seat over there. And of course, moderating this fireside chat is yours truly. All right, so let's do this. This is fascinating.
First of all, apologies for being late.
No, not whatsoever.
Infamous
Mumbai traffic. We've all
come from BKC, which is the, I don't know, which is where traffic originates, I think.
I don't think any of us can escape that, Mumbai traffic, especially, coming to a place like Bandra, which is, forever crowded. But great that you, despite everything, you were able to make it just in time. If I were to say, you made it just in time for this conversation.
Thank God.
So yeah, without any further ado, as the cliche goes, let's get into this. The theme of this conversation is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's people and profit, because that's what she's involved with. Tell us, you've had extensive work in the creative business, in the entertainment business. You've done so much TV, movies, and then you step into this world of running a business and being an entrepreneur. And it's not a simple business that you're involved in. You're talking about getting communities together to do something that, establishes a good fundamentals for the community that is, contributing to your business. And here you are fronting that business. Tell us, from your perspective, how difficult is it to strike that balance between people and profit? A business that is profitable, a business that does good for the people.
Sure. So because I'm new at this, at entrepreneurship in general, I'll first just quickly introduce what my business is. It is...
if you could just hold your mic a little bit.
Yeah, here?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is, my brand is called Cinnabar. It's a mother-daughter run, founded brand. We deal in Chanderi saris. My hometown is 30 kilometers away from Chanderi. Chanderi is a small town in Madhya Pradesh, known for its handloom weaves and for Chanderi saris. I'm wearing one of my own. And during the lockdown, my mother and I mean, we've been visiting Chanderi, all our life, really. But during the lockdown, we decided to help the weavers get rid of their dead stock, because there were no exhibitions and no brands were buying from them. So we started a basic Instagram page and started posting our saris on it, and got a great response. That sort of gave us the confidence to do this full time. So my business is very much a small business still, and I'm sure I can learn something about entrepreneurship from everybody in this room. I'm really just, learning as it evolves. And yeah, so the journey so far has been, it feels like starting all over again. It feels a bit scary. You said it's about people and profits. We haven't seen much profit yet. So
scarier than a release of any TV or movie that you're doing, and the nerves that come with it.
Yeah, because your money is not invested in it, firstly. You've made your money and had a good time, and then if it works, you're only, happy. But here, not just the money, but it's also because, like you said, it is working with the community. We have a community of weavers. We really uphold certain ethics, and we want to be able to do that as we grow. I know it gets difficult for business people to, or like businesses to stay true to the values that they began with. But let's see, I have this idealistic dream. Let's see how far we go. So yeah, so when you have a responsibility like that, and when you know that you're responsible for also a certain community that firstly means a lot to me, and I also know are not really getting their due. I feel like they're still not celebrated as much as they should be. The handloom workers, the weavers, anybody who's doing any kind of handicraft, I feel. I just think that, yeah, then you feel scared because...
Interesting. I wanted to ask you, you're part of the creative industry, which itself is a brand ambassador for India. And culture and creativity are two things in India which can act as great soft power for India. And here you are doing a business which is at the smack at the intersection of both culture as well as creativity. As right, you're pointing out, Chanderi sarees are known across the country, for sure. It's important that Chanderi becomes a global brand. It's a global,
yes.
And it would be businesses like yours which will help put Chanderi in the global spotlight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Banaras already is. Yeah. Banarsi weave is really, really popular. Kanjivaram is really popular. Chanderi is, but not as much. I want Chanderi to also kind of get that status, and I want obviously Cinnabar to be the go-to place for it. So.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right. It has to be, I think we're also, in our culture, we celebrate something even more when it is appreciated by the world, when the world is looking at us.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, yes. And also because these weavers and their work has been used and is, being used by brands all over the world already. They just don't know that fabric is called Chanderi. They just don't know where it comes from, who's woven it. I mean, it's still being sold, and like really big labels use their not raw material, but just the fabric, and then make beautiful outfits out of it.
Tell us, how do you go about, positioning your brand? If I can ask you that, because, you're talking about...
With humility.
Tell us, explain to us more. How does this process work for you? When you came from acting to doing this, and you're like, okay, fine, now I have a brand. This brand has a heritage attached to it, because it's actually based on a heritage of Chanderi sarees. Yeah. And as you're rightly pointing out, so many people are already wearing and using Chanderi sarees and Chanderi fabric without knowing the fact that it's Chanderi.
Yeah.
Right? And here you have to do both things. One is tell people it's Chanderi, and tell people it's your brand of Chanderi that they should be looking out for.
I think the way I want to do it, and I'm still working on this, we're going to formally rebrand and launch early next year. Although we're very much operational, but this is right now it's a mom and pop shop. My mom goes, she gets the sarees, she hand wraps them, I write a note, and we ship it to people. It's that small right now. But
talk about homegrown business, literally homegrown business in India.
There is no storage, there are no employees, it's just my mother and I. So right now it's like that, but hopefully in a couple of months, we plan to go big with it. I forgot what you asked me.
What I wanted to ask you was that your brand.
How do I say? Yes, so sorry. Because I'm an actor and because I'm in the business of stories,
yes.
I think that storytelling is the best way to sell anything today. Nothing reaches people's hearts and nothing stays in people's memories if it's not told with a story they can relate with, something they can take away from, some kind of emotion. So I think the story of Chanderi itself is really fascinating. I don't mean the weave, I mean the town. So I think maybe from a lens of architecture, maybe from a lens of how the town is and what the history of that place is. Chanderi was on the Silk Route. So it has had influences of the Mughal art, and then the Rajput art, and then some of its local art. So Chanderi also is, Sufism is really big in Chanderi. Beju Bavra was from Chanderi. So a lot of these small things that people don't know about. I think if people find a way to connect with the place, they will automatically care for its people and for its craft.
Yeah, fascinating. Now, you just told me a story. I'm fascinated to know more about Chanderi. I didn't know Beju Bavra was from Chanderi.
Right now, nowadays, people only know Chanderi from film 3 and some other films that have been shot there. My parents are also really thrilled. They're like, "Aaj wo aaye the shoot karne ke liye." Oh, so many films have been shot here. That's become the new calling card for Chanderi, so to say.
Yeah, and that's why I was asking about this branding and marketing, because first of all, when you are an actress and a personality yourself, you are the brand. You are the brand, you are the one that, is fronting the cameras. You as an actor is the kind of work that you do. And here you have have to, step away from that.
Oh, but being a founder is really humbling because as an actor, you're just so used to doing things on your own terms and being treated a certain way. I'm not going to shy away from that. But as a founder, I feel like you have to really be hands-on and be available for everything and wear your sari every opportunity you get.
In your movies as well?
That I don't have much say on, but if I did, like if I were to produce something in the future or there was a character who wore saris, I will try to bribe the producers.
Clearly, producers, watch out. But it's important. I was asking that because, you are the brand ambassador by default for the product.
I think all founders today are. I've been told this, and I can see it in my own buying behavior as well. I connect with brands that are extension of their founders. Or everybody wants a face behind something. I don't think a logo or a font does it anymore. You want to know the story. You want to know the person. You want to know why somebody thought this was a solution to something. So when you know the person, you end up kind of having some kind of trust in the brand. So I think this is the new way to go, and especially with Instagram and all founders have to really be, facing forward.
Yeah, I was going to come to that actually because you're already on Instagram because, as an actress, you have to be on Instagram and you are.
Really, I feel like I have an edge.
Yeah, exactly. So
I hope so.
You know the platform, like the back of your hand because you use it on a daily basis. And here you have.
Actually, no.
What?
I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram.
Okay.
But like I said, I have to really suck it up. All my pride and ego has to be kept aside. When you're a founder, you have to make use of every platform you have.
So that's the shift in tonality from an actress to entrepreneur because you're like now no more love-hate relationship with Instagram, only love-love relationship with Instagram.
Yes.
But
from my business account.
Okay. If I were to ask you an anecdote, we're all sitting with Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, homegrown businesses. You are a homegrown business. You're running a homegrown business right now. Any particular anecdote when you thought oh God, I can't do this. I'm just really going to give up. But then you came back and gave it a really good go. And here you are with the brand and the product.
You mean in my acting journey or in just the brand?
No, from the acting journey, your transition into being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Would any particular moment which felt like a huge challenge that heck, this is going to be difficult for me to do this, and then you finally got over it, and here you are.
Oh my God, there's so many. I really.
You said it's a humbling experience. I just want to ask you any anecdote where you're truly humbled and you're like, okay, I've got to let this go.
I think when you really go into the town to get the saris or to commission something, a design, and you see how, not power looms, but how hand looms are in Chanderi, it really kind of, it makes you think. There is one handloom in a family. This is a craft that is passed on, generations.
Generation after generation.
Okay, so people in that house and the kind of time it takes to weave and then the money they make for it, it's, it really, I mean, I don't want to sound like I have any kind of pity or sympathy, let's be honest. But I want to clarify that.
True. You felt for the cause. You felt that it's
yes, and that's why I didn't think that compassion was enough. I thought that a business where they can make fair wages is the better way to sort of do anything for this community. But yeah, when you go there and you see how many hours it takes to weave one sari, it really gives you some perspective and a reality check.
Okay.
So we don't think about the clothes that we wear so deeply, or you don't know how long it takes to make something and what all goes into it. But when you see the process up close, it really feels like, how am I going to do justice to this?
Here you are doing justice to it with a brand.
I hope so.
To the best of your abilities. And that's the reason why I want to ask you, as a business woman, as an entrepreneur, suddenly when numbers are thrown at you saying that this is how much things cost and this is how much you're going to sell it at, all these numbers and calculations, how did you, counter some of them,
I've been trying to plan this campaign shoot. And as somebody who's always in front of the camera, I never have to think about what is the entire budget of this shoot. That's not my burden. But suddenly it is. And now when I'm seeing, what all you need, and of course not just talent, of course you need a photographer, a stylist, models and all that, but apart from that, the little things that you need, I have more appreciation for my like for
Your
for
producers.
yes. This is not easy. I'm doing such a small production, and that itself it feels daunting. So I have, I mean, I knew it. I respect people who make films. It's not an easy business at all. But now I suddenly have, some revelation has happened and I have more respect.
What does your typical day look like right now? Now that you're doing two things simultaneously, two very time-consuming, mind, space-consuming things. How do you sort of, dabble both worlds?
It's that classic case. I'm sure this is one of Newton's laws or something. But when things happen, they all happen together. And when there's nothing happens in your life. This is the freelancer's life, the experience of being a freelancer. So right now I'm promoting a film that's coming out in 2 days. It's called The Great Shamsuddin Family on Jio Hotstar on 12th of December.
Make sure everybody watch that.
Yes, yeah. Please. It's a sweet, little, small, intimate film, and I feel like those films are also kind of dying.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah. So I think there is space for that. I enjoy that.
I mean, the days of Golbal and, so many of those movies in the 70s and 80s, we don't make that kind of, not enough at least.
Mukherjee, Basu Chatterjee, that world is not, we're not seeing those films anymore. This is an attempt, an effort in that direction. I hope people watch and enjoy it. So that's something that I've been doing. And also I wake up and I have a team call. My mom's also a principal in a school, so she also multitasks. So,
oh my goodness, how do you guys end up running the business together?
We don't know. Ask us in a few months. But
okay.
So she's in school till lunch. So I wake up and I do like a team call, and currently I'm also doing some creatives and stuff. So we figured out like a new packaging experience. We wanted to also explore some sustainable options there. So that's what we've locked. So, these kind of like logistics, packaging, these kind of calls. And then once mom gets free, we talk about what saris, how are we shooting them, and how many orders have gone today. So it's, but because it's mama and me, it's kind of like informal right now.
True. You just said how many orders have gone out today. That's like sort of like a sales call. Right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 2 a day or something, guys. It's really not. Those calls can be text messages. They're that short.
Yeah. Okay, but I was only asking this because, there are so many people right now looking to turn to entrepreneurship. Not just, actresses who've done TV and movies and all that, regular people, young people who are, more and more young people are turning to entrepreneurship and not necessarily waiting for a salaried job to come their way, be it a corporate job or a government job. They're all there saying the fact that they're from creators on Instagram to people, who are selling everything from bags to, accessories to so many things. People are jumping into businesses all the time these days. Young people who follow you on Instagram, young people who watch your TV work, but young people who watch your movies and sort of even follow your fashion. What would be your advice to them who are like, I'm done with this, I don't want to do a job, I'm just going to go do a business. What would be your advice to them?
I'm in the business of selling dreams, but I'm going to be real. This is an unpopular opinion, but not everybody has to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody has to go the startup way. I really think, and I'm not discouraging anybody, by all means, if you have the knowledge and the passion for it, please go for it. But also make sure that you have some capital, some kind of security. I say this to the women, especially. That kind of financial security is really important. If you have enough for a rainy day and some more, please go and experiment and follow your passion. But otherwise, I would say that, I don't think, I feel like everybody now wants to start a business. And my thing did not come out of, I was not looking for a plan B. This is not, which is why I can do this. I have a plan A. I'm an actor, and that's why I'm able to follow this passion. And that's why, and this happened as a lockdown project. I didn't even think it would last. It's only because we've got the response and we have the numbers to back it up that we're really getting into it. But I think till you have that kind of data and that kind of research, and hopefully you have some good guidance, first secure, get all your ducks in a row, and then give it a go, or not, and it's fine. It's fine. Some people, I personally like structure a lot. I'm just in this, profession that does not give me that. But if everybody's going to start a business, who's running the world and our systems?
Fair point. I'm asking this, okay, fine. You're somebody who took the plunge. There was a plan B. you were very clear about the fact that this is something I'm doing because it's a passion project after a point. You genuinely felt for the artisans. And here we are discussing, your business at a time when Make in India is an ambition for this country. And as part of Make in India, highlighting these crafts of India, these cultural heritages of India is very, very important. And your business essentially does something like that. And more importantly, there should be others who are willing to take up that mantle, isn't it? People with the plan A that I'm talking about, who are willing to, put that foot forward. Like you are putting the spotlight on Chanderi. There are so many other, crafts and heritages in this country which needs to be highlighted, isn't it? And more importantly, for businesses to be involved with them.
Absolutely. I think there's some good work happening in that regard. I'm able to do this because of people like, for example, Sanjay Garg of Raw Mango, or what Sabyasachi is doing on a really global level. There are some absolute visionaries in fashion who already are doing this. And I know there are many more small businesses like me or labels that have just, somebody's just started a label or they're just coming up. And if they have the craft and the knowledge, see, I'm not a designer. So I'm calling myself a brand. I'm not a designer. But there are designers actually who are doing really good work. And yeah, I mean, I can only do this because they're doing what they're doing.
And you have designers at your brand as well, correct?
We currently are not commissioning any original designs. We let the weavers decide, and then we sort of course, curate it. But we are currently a medium through which you can buy directly from authentic Chanderi weavers who are in Chanderi. And we'll tell you what it's made of and the, we'll take care of the quality, the production, the fabric, how much cotton, how much silk, all those things. If you want some color options, all those things. But I don't think I can call myself a designer, no.
Essentially what the value proposition is authenticity. If you ever wanted to buy authentic Chanderi textiles, authentic Chanderi saris, your brand is the brand, is the go-to brand.
Because there are too many fakes in the market, and also people don't know how to not everybody can go to Chanderi to buy. So we just want to be that medium.
That is the medium that Kritika Kamra wants to be, and here we are wishing her, first of all, congratulations, you're one of the visionaries of Viksit Bharat, because we truly believe it is businesses like yours and the businesses of the people in the audience that will truly build this country 360-degree way, not just building businesses, but also putting the spotlight on India, its culture, its heritage and tradition, at the same time making a business out of it as well. It's a very, very difficult job. And I want to wish you all the best. A huge round of applause for Kritika Kamra for doing something that's so difficult, that's not easy at all.
Thank you. This is absolutely an honor and very early in my journey. I hope I'm worthy of this, and this was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kritika, for taking time out in your busy schedule for being with us. Quickly, if we can do a photo opportunity, and then we can... Since this is the grand finale of the grand finale, requesting Kritika Kamra to please stay on stage. We're going to request the teams from SAP and TV9 Network to please take the stage for a group photo opportunity. This is, bear in mind, the third and final thought leadership conclave as part of TV9 Visionaries of Viksit Bharat. Requesting the teams from SAP India and TV9 Network. Please don't be shy. Please come over and take the stage. Shri, Vasif, Okay, thank you, Kritika. Thank you for being with us. Thank you to team TV9 and thank you to SAP India. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, TV9 Network, Visionaries of Viksit Bharat in association with SAP India. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Thank you for being a part of this. Requesting all of you to continue all your conversations over dinner and drinks. Please carry on.